Today we're going to answer your questions about the Huawei Mate 20X. Hey, what's going on? Thank you so much for stopping by the channel. If this is your first time stopping by, what I try to do here is take a look at tech through a real-world lens. And what better example of that than answering your questions about the Mate 20X? If that interests you, consider subscribing. So diving right on in here, I've been using the Mate 20X for about 3 weeks now as my daily driver, so I want to answer some of the questions that you guys have asked me about that. If I don't answer your question, feel free to leave it in a comment down below or even ask me on Twitter, link to that in the description. What version of the phone do I have? Chinese or international? And I have the international variant or the Hong Kong variant of the phone. Google Play service is pre-installed, a lot less Chinese bloat. So that's the variant of the phone that I have. And a couple follow-ups to that are, where did you buy it and do you trust that website? I got this from funkyshop.club or Funky Huawei. I have a link to that in the description down below as well. And yeah, I trust the website. I ordered my phone through there and obviously got it. And I emailed them a decent bit and they were pretty quick with email replies, so I have no reason not to trust them. They were great, so absolutely, Funky Huawei if you're looking for the international version of this phone. They also threw in the M Pen for free. We'll answer some questions about that later in the video. Next is, do I have any delayed or missed notifications when not on Wi-Fi? And I don't personally, but I have a theory of why you might be missing notifications if this is happening to you on a Huawei or Honor device. So let me show you that really quick here. We're gonna dive into settings, then scroll down to battery, select that, and then you'll see something called app launch. You want to select that as well. Huawei is super aggressive at killing apps in the background, which is great for your battery life, but can cause some confusions there with notifications. So if you scroll down, you can look at the app that you're looking for, obviously, and see if it's set to manage automatically or manage manually. I'm going to scroll down here to one that I have set to manage automatically and click on it, and you get this nice little menu. Auto launch, secondary launch, run in background, and run in background is the one that you're looking for. So you just want to hit OK. Once you take it to manage manually, that app will now be allowed to run in the background, and you shouldn't have any issues missing notifications on that app any longer. So hopefully that solves your issue with that question. Next is, what network am I on and what's the reception been like? I'm currently on AT&T. I've mentioned in my last couple videos I want to switch to T-Mobile here soon. I haven't done that just yet. I'll talk about that more in the full review though. So on AT&T it's been fine. LTE performance has been great. No complaints with that whatsoever. Working in the US just fine. Just be advised, obviously, if you're on Sprint or Verizon, it's probably not going to work great for you. Okay, next, do third-party launchers work? And the answer to that is no, not really. And let me show you what I mean. As you can see, I've changed my default launcher to Nova. If that's not evident, there's what a folder looks like, so obviously not the Huawei Home. And it lets you set it as default just fine, your notifications just fine. Some of Huawei's widgets work kind of weird there, as you can see with the calendar, they don't work great. But it will be able to be set as your default launcher. Now here's where the issue comes in, and I'm not going to give you an overlay for this one because I think it's easier to see when I'm showing you this camera view. If you try to select the most recent app, meaning the app in the middle of your screen there, it works no problem. But let's give you an example here. I'm going to try to select YouTube Studio there on the right. As soon as I tap that, it dumps me back home. And that happens with any app, any recent app. So, okay, let's try to jump over to Amazon over there on the left. Hit Amazon, dumps you right back home. So, third-party launchers, yes, you can use them on the international version, but it doesn't work as far as those recent apps go. And I've tried several different third-party launchers. Nova's just probably the most common, most popular. I also tried Hyperion, and same issue there for a lot of you guys asking me about Hyperion. You can set the default launcher, but the recent apps are not going to work properly, at least not yet. I did reach out to Huawei and ask them about that issue, and they basically said, we don't know. So I submitted a bug report to them, and we'll see what happens with that if it gets addressed in a future update, and I'm really hoping that it does. And with that, I've switched back to the home launcher because that was a follow-up. How's the default launcher been if the third-party launchers don't work that well? It's been fine. I mean, I don't really like the folder setup. It's very iOS-esque. Very personal preference based though. If you like that, great. I just don't personally. Their app drawer is pretty functional. I'm just not a huge fan of the look of it. They get this nice little, alphabet on the right side, so you can jump quickly to apps that begin with a certain letter. So that's nice. Default launcher's been just fine, no real issues with it, just some more minor complaints on my part. Next up is the notification LED and always on display, and we're gonna wrap this all in one. It'll make sense here in just a second. Is there a notification LED? No, there's not. I wish there was, but there's not. Even on the Google Pixel 3 there wasn't one, so it seems like Google's trying to phase that out slowly. So how's the always on display been since you don't have any notification LED? And how's that whole experience been? It's been fine. I mean, I've used iPhones in the past, so I'm used to not having a notification LED to some extent. The always on display though, this is what it looks like with no notifications, just the clock, date, and battery. It's fine. What you'll notice though is this clock will start to shift lower and lower on the display as the day progresses. And I think the reason for that is since it's an OLED display, they want to prevent burn-in from happening, so the clock's constantly changing position. As far as notifications displaying on the always on display, I obviously can't test every app, but the apps that I have work just fine. For example, I use Textra as my SMS app instead of the default messaging app, and I get my Textra notifications without issue. So for me, it's been fine, but I haven't used it super extensively because I'm not a huge fan of it overall, just personally, but yeah, it works. I wish they had an ambient display option. They don't currently, so hopefully that comes in a software update here later on. All right, what about the cameras? How have the cameras been, specifically the video camera? The camera itself has been phenomenal, and I'll have a full camera comparison between the Mate 20X and the Google Pixel 3 coming up here very soon. I'm currently editing that video actually, so I'll link it in the description once it's live. The camera itself has been awesome. One of the best cameras that I've ever used on a smartphone, easily. Now the video camera is another story. I actually shot one of my OnePlus 6T videos using the Mate 20X as my default camera, and it did not work great. You can use an external microphone, so that was really cool, a nice little feature there, but the autofocus really screwed up. And I think why it screwed up is the phone is black around the edges, and this desk is obviously black as well, which is one of the reasons I have this little cloth underneath the phone to try to help the phone autofocus pick it up, because the videos turned out really poorly. So right now, video's been pretty poor, but I'll address that more on the full review once I get more use with the video camera. So video camera's kind of camera's been great though. Alright guys, sorry for this cut in here, but I forgot to mention this in the camera stuff. You can see here I'm trying to focus on the screen. I know it's kind of hard to see because you're looking through a camera screen. Once it gets focused, you'll see this little sun pop up on the right side. Now, Xiaomi also has this on their skin, but this is a nice little touch. It's going to be hard to pick up on camera, but what you can do is you can actually slide that little sun once the camera locks in on focus, and you can dynamically adjust the screen brightness. So you can see the screen's getting brighter and darker. You can adjust that on the photo on the fly. That's a really nice touch from Huawei, and I definitely dig it. Next is what screen protector am I using and where did I get it? Right now I'm using the default screen protector that comes pre-installed on the phone itself. As far as where do I get my screen protectors though, I get them from gearbest.com. I'm currently waiting on a couple tempered glass ones. And there's a couple reasons for that. One of them is if you order tempered glass on Amazon, not just for a Chinese phone, but for a less popular phone, a lot of them kind of suck. And what I mean by that is the cutouts are not right. It's not cut the size properly. It won't fill the whole screen. Maybe it's not cut out for the notch right. It's just not great. And they're like 10 bucks for one or two of them. So I thought, you know what, if I'm gonna pay 10 bucks and not have it being cut out, why not just get it from GearBest where it's $1 or $2? And then if the screen's not cut perfectly, then oh well, it was $1, you know? So that's what I did. I'll have some more information on that once they come in. They're currently in the mail to me right now, but for the past 3 weeks, I've just been using the pre-installed one from Huawei. I don't have any complaints with it thus far. And tying that together with accessories, what are the accessories like? Nothing from Spigen, etc. Yeah, nothing from Spigen or the big guys there. Accessories though, you can see I do have this case, which I don't know if the camera's gonna pick it up. It's kind of black with like these white specks or gray specks in it. It is a little bit thicker than I'd like because I don't really like cases, but hey, it is what it is. It does protect the camera there. Got a nice little camera hump. And to show you guys it, I did actually buy this case from Amazon. It's 12 bucks, nothing fancy, but it is a case. It does make it grippier, not nearly as beautiful as the phone's back would normally look, but makes the phone grippier, which is what I was after. So yeah, no accessories from the big guys like Spigen, but there are accessories for it. And same thing, I would go to GearBest for that, or even eBay. You can find some pretty cheap cases that should fit the phone just fine. All right, how's the screen been? I haven't noticed any screen bleeding thus far. Like I said, I've had the phone for about 3 weeks, and the screen's been pretty solid. I wish the colors were a little bit more punchy, but hey, that's personal preference. So the screen probably does look a little bit more true to real life since the colors are less punchy. It is a Samsung AMOLED though, so it's been great. No complaints with the screen quality whatsoever. In the full review, I'll try to have some way to measure the nits of brightness on the screen and some more technical details there. How about Huawei's Nano memory card? Have I used one of those? And I haven't. That's because the phone has 128 gigs of storage. That's a lot. That's more than enough for me. I do have a bunch of micro SD cards lying around from Samsung, but they obviously don't fit in this phone. So since the nano memory only works for Huawei right now, I haven't picked one up yet. When I run out of space or start running low on space, maybe I will. Maybe an update comes to make the video camera better, or I figure something out to make the camera better. But hey, for the time being, no, I don't have one. I wouldn't have a problem suggesting you pick one up though. Huawei usually makes some pretty solid stuff, so if you're somebody who wants more space, by all means go. So what about full screen mode? You got a weird aspect ratio and a notch. And the answer is you're gonna have some black bars on the side of some apps. I'm gonna dive into the settings here to show you what I'm talking about. So you're gonna have some black bars on the sides of the phone just because of the aspect ratio. It's an 18.7 by 9 display. That means 18.7 tall by 9 wide. Aspect wise. Most video content is 16 by 9. So if you're watching content on Netflix or YouTube, you're already at a disadvantage there. Add in the notch and it's pretty rough. So I'd expect to have some black bars on the sides. That's just, you know, it is what it is. If you're trying to find a way around that right now because you've already bought this phone, I'm sorry I don't have better news for you, but it's going to be app dependent. So the NFL or Netflix app, they do have some black bars on the sides, but again, it's going to be app specific. So my suggestion would be just kind of go into the phone expecting that, so you're not disappointed or let down, because that's kind of the reality with these weird aspect ratios. So how's the InPen been, and does it work with other note-taking apps outside of Huawei's? It's been great, and yes it does. Somebody asked me about OneNote specifically in the comments, so I went ahead and tried OneNote, and I really like OneNote as a note-taking app. The pen detection has been great, been super quick, as you can hopefully see there on camera. Not really any lag. Palm detection, palm rejection's also been pretty good there. So as you can see, it only picked up the pen. So yeah, any note-taking app that supports a stylus, I'd imagine would work, but OneNote's the only one that I've tested super thoroughly. And since the palm rejection is built into the screen and the pen itself on the phone, I'd expect it would work with any note-taking app. And yeah, OneNote's been awesome. The only disadvantage is you have some shortcuts on the pen, using the button to launch the note-taking app very quickly. Those don't work anymore. They only are programmable to Huawei's default app. They haven't opened that up yet. Maybe they will in a future update. They just haven't yet, so something to keep in mind. But yes, other note-taking apps have worked just fine. All right, so this next one's probably gonna be a little bit weird for some of you guys. It's around the pointer speed, and can you change it? No, you can't, at least not on Huawei here. You can see if we search pointer there in the settings, nothing comes up. I do have developer options enabled, but you're not able to change the pointer settings, the pointer speed. That came up because I mentioned the scrolling is kind of slow. It's like iOS scrolling, very smooth, but in certain apps it's just slow, and you can't adjust the pointer speed. And it's a recommendation somebody had, so just so you guys can see it there, not able to edit that on EMUI 9. Next, how's the size of the phone been? Using it day to day, is it too big or what? No, not for me at least. I mean, I've got relatively big hands. I don't think my hands are huge, but they're bigger than some people's. So this phone obviously has a case on it still. We're looking at it side by side the Mi Max 3. Hopefully you guys can see that. It is just a hair smaller than the Max 3 is. I mean, on height and width. So just a little bit smaller than that. And then the Galaxy Mega, Old Faithful here. The phone is just a hair taller than the Mega, but is the same width. So I haven't had any issues using it day to day, size-wise. That's kind of the reason that you buy this phone, because you want a big phone. When it's in my pocket, like jeans, one of the corners will stick out here of my pocket, but like I said, really not a big deal. When I sit down, I usually take my phone out of my pocket and set it on the table anyway. So no issues there, it's been pretty solid. The next question was, can you add an extra navigation button to pull down the notification shade? Yes, you can. As you can see there, bottom right, you can add the button in the notification bar if that's what you're using. That makes the phone a lot easier to use with it being so big. Just hit that, and from anywhere. I'm right-handed, so I have it down on the right side, so I just hit it with my right thumb. Pulls down the notification shade, makes using the phone a lot easier, so just shifts these other buttons over there to the left side. Now if you're using gestures, you lose access to this button. Just something to keep in mind. Really not a big deal in my opinion, but yeah, something to think about. Alright, those are all the questions you guys asked about this phone. If I didn't answer your question, feel free to leave me a comment down below and ask. I'll make sure I reply to you. Or ask me on Twitter. My question for you is, why haven't you subscribed yet? Make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.